Hello, this is wmpyr. Just watched another video on YouTube. This was the Bagua person, which is a traditional kung fu Chinese martial art called Bagua. And this dude fought against an MMA fighter. And I did the one a while back with the Tai Chi guy versus MMA fighter. And then more recently, I did the Wing Chun guy versus MMA fighter. And now in this video, I want to talk about the Bagua guy versus MMA fighter. And I've gotten comments and people have, I guess they've criticized what I had to say. And you guys telling me that he's not a teacher, or he's not legit, his lineage is fake, or whatever. You guys are completely missing the point. That's not my point. If you watch my video to the end, what I'm saying is that they're getting non-fighters and putting them up against fighters. What do you think's going to happen? You know, whether they're a teacher or let me just call them scholars. They're people that study martial arts. That's a scholar, okay? So you're getting a scholar whether they have a legit lineage or whether it's a made-up lineage, it doesn't matter. They're scholars. They're teachers, they're scholars, they're students. You get people like that, put them up against a fighter. Of course, they can't fight. Of course, that's not what they do. So that's my main point. So, you know, people completely misunderstanding that, all right? And the thing that I want to say here also is that I said to you guys before that there are Tai Chi fighters. There are Wing Chun fighters. Why don't they put those guys up against the MMA fighter? Fighter versus fighter. Why don't they do that? I haven't seen it. I have not seen it yet. Actually, I have, but not in the MMA circuit. There was a tournament in Japan called Ganryujima, and in that tournament, they put up some Chinese martial arts guys. I believe there was a Tai Chi. There could have been praying mantis style, but those guys were fighters. It was very obvious watching that those guys were fighters, and they fought against the full contact karate guys, full contact people. It was a full contact tournament, and just watch that. You'll see the big difference. So that's all they got to do: find those guys, put them up against the MMA fighter, and then there you go. Those guys are legit. I'm not saying they're gonna win, but they'll actually fight. That's the difference. The only problem is, I don't believe the world is ready for that. The world doesn't understand this. So if they see this, not if they see this, the public are gonna say that's not real Tai Chi, that's not real Kung Fu, that's not real praying mantis or whatever, and that's the problem. It's nothing to do with that. It's about being a fighter in a street fight style nature. Street fight is nature. That's what happens naturally. Two people going at it, or more people with weapons, without weapons. This is what naturally happens. And in a natural environment like that, it doesn't care about style. It doesn't care about lineage, rank. None of those things matter. There are plenty of good street fighters that have never studied a martial art, but you wouldn't want to mess with. They just been thugs all their life. They've been in and out of prison, and you don't want to mess with those guys. That's just they never taken a martial art. Okay, so that tells you alone. It's not the style. It's can you fight or can you not fight? That's the question. And so the next thing that I want to bring up, okay, real quick story, is I actually trained with a guy, a Bagua guy. He was a Bagua teacher. I remember I met him in Texas, and he was a very talented guy. He also did music. He also trained in boxing. He also trained in Kyokushin karate. He was very knowledgeable about martial arts. Older guy. I think he had gray or white hair, and I remember he taught me a little bit of Bagua, and um, I asked him about internal martial arts and stuff like that, and the chi and ki and stuff like that. I was curious, so I asked him, and he said, take up a fighting stance, and I did. I took a fighting stance, and he says, I'm gonna hit you with an open palm onto your arm, and I'm gonna do what is called an internal strike. And I said, okay. So he's like, are you ready? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. So I just had it guarded like this against my body, just like a boxer, just guarding. And he hit me, not hard. He hit me, and I felt it in my organ. So he hit me on the arm, and I felt it in my organ. So it was like it made me want to throw up. I was like, ugh. And he said, "There's nothing magical about it. I just transferred the force. So it was almost like he got my arm and slammed my arm against my body. And that shook my arm was already pressed against the body, but he still was able to jolt it enough that it went through. And from my understanding, all right, what that meant is no different than a boxer, that could aim for the chin and rattle your brain. That's physics. So what he did there was physics, and he would be applying that in a real fight. Now, just because he knows that one move, is he going to be able to go up against a professional boxer and land that one move and take them out? No, I don't think so. Will it make him a better boxer than without this move? Absolutely. It's going to help him box better, for sure. And that's traditional martial arts applied to real fighting. It helps you this much, but it'll help you. And same experience for me. I am not a physically gifted, I'm not an athlete, I'm not anything. I'm a regular guy. I trained in traditional martial arts, and then when I went into combat sports, training in the traditional martial arts helped me do combat sports, because let's face it, not everyone can be an athlete. An athlete is a smaller percentage of the population. So when you're looking at a fighter, that's a smaller percentage of the population. That guy's like elite. You look at a UFC guy, that guy's like looking at an Olympian. That's elite. That's a very small percentage of the population. So you're going to put that guy against a regular guy that did martial arts. It's no contest. Of course, the martial arts guy is not going to stand a chance, because this guy has skill too. So they both have skill, but one's a Olympic caliber athlete and the other guy's a regular guy. It's no contest. So, but when I go up against a regular guy, I'm a regular guy, and I have martial arts, I'm going to have the advantage. I go up against someone that's a little bit tougher than me, okay? The traditional martial arts has allowed me to train with people like that, to train with people that are tougher than the average people. And when I was having a hard time with them, then I applied concepts from traditional martial arts to help me get an advantage, because physically and environmentally and mentally, these people, they're tougher than me. They were in high school, maybe they were a football player or whatever. They're already above me. They have better fighting capability potential than I do. So going to the traditional martial arts, where anybody and everybody, just about everybody, can train in traditional martial arts. And MMA, not everybody can do it. Not everybody can hack it. So that's the limitation of MMA. Is it a better fighting style? Of course, because it's for the better fighter, of course. But not everybody can do that. Just about anybody can do traditional martial arts. I did that, and when I got into MMA training, to help me survive against those beasts and monsters over there, I was using concepts from traditional martial arts, like in Wing Chun, protect your center line. So when I was on the ground, I would go off to one side. If I was straight like this, I would get pinned. I would get stacked up. I would get put in a cradle. I would get destroyed. I'd go off to the side. Now I could go for arm bars, triangles, take their back. So that was for me. I mean, I had been grappling a while, but I was still having a very hard time, doing the moves. But then when I put in the Wing Chun concept of protect the center line, attack their center line, it made a huge difference. It clicked for me. The sensitivity training, the trapping hands, I do it in grappling, you know. Like in the mount, when you have the mount and you want to punch the guy is going to be covering up and defending. How do you get through? Well, in MMA, they teach you body, body, head, head, body, switch it up. But they know that too. It wasn't good enough. So then I started using my body to press down and trap the arms, and then you can start trapping the arms and adding punches and stuff. Then I was like, wow, this stuff really helping me out. Same thing with Aikido, where I remember doing training for months and months where we would imagine we have like a cup of tea on our center point of the body, the dantian or whatever you want to call it, and you'd walk and you move without trying to spill it. Okay, so that really came in handy when I was grappling, when I had the mountain stuff. I would imagine I would sink my weight down. That's another concept from Tai Chi. Sink your weight, root yourself down into the ground. So I would start doing stuff like that from all these knowledge that was passed on from traditional martial arts. Now I had a framework to put it into. So I started doing that, and it wasn't useless. It helped me out a lot. It helped me, the average guy, do MMA training and be able to do MMA training for years and years and years. I was able to do that. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to do BJJ, Muay Thai, MMA for as long as I did. So that's applied knowledge. That's taking the knowledge that you learned there and putting it into fight training. And that's exactly what I did. So, I hope, the people that are going to listen are going to listen. The people that they want to argue and argue, they're not going to listen. They're not going to listen. I don't care what style it is. I'm going to benefit from anything and everything, because that's like the street. In a street fight situation, you see a rock right there, and you're going to go, you know what, I'm not going to use a rock because it's a rock. I'll use a brick, but I'm not going to use a rock. That's silly, And when you say that about styles like, Wing Chun doesn't work, or I don't like MMA, that's what you're doing. And to me, that's absolutely silly. Why limit yourself? So that's my main point. And each style has pros and cons. There's areas that they're good at. There's areas they're not good at. Just because you're a jack of all trades doesn't mean that's the answer. People think that's the way to go, be a jack of all trades. It's not. There's plenty of dudes that only practice one or specialize in one style, and then from there they fight and they evolve. Maybe they're a wrestler. That's all they do is just wrestling, but they learn how to deal with boxers. They learn how to deal with Thai boxers. They learn how to deal with grappling. The submission stuff. The areas they're not good at. They learn how to deal with it. That's what's important. So you could specialize in one style. You don't have to be a jack of trades. You know. But anyway, I'm going to go off on a tangent here. So I'll stop it right here for now. Thank you for listening, and take care, folks.